Hi everyone, it's Julie here. On this video I'm going to be talking about how to start the healing process once your pet has died. How do you get through those first few days, weeks, months? How do you start to feel a little bit better? And one of the first things that you need to do is to acknowledge that the feelings you have are grief. It's legitimate grief. It's okay to grieve for a pet in the same way that you would grieve for a human. Maybe the feelings are even more intense because you've had that pet with you all the time. Through all the good times and the bad times, they've been there. So once they're not there anymore, of course you're going to grieve, and you have to allow yourself to do that. You also have to admit to yourself the feelings that you're having. So if you're feeling angry, you have to admit that to yourself. And, maybe even to your family. Why are you angry? Are you angry because you think that the vet didn't think that they did all that they could? Or are you angry because somebody left the gate open, or because it doesn't seem fair because, your dog was lovely and why should they get cancer? Whatever it is, whatever you're feeling, whether it's regret, sorrow, guilt, because maybe you just didn't have the financial resources to go through test after test after test looking for what was wrong. Maybe you should have started looking earlier. Or maybe you should have put your pet down sooner if they were in pain. We always seem to blame ourselves because we were responsible for our pet. Acknowledge those feelings. It's really important. If you try and pretend that they don't exist, you just bury them and they burst out in a different way at a really bad time, or you get stuck and you can't move forward at all. You just feel like you can't go on. So admit those feelings to yourself and speak about them. Admit them. Sometimes there are other people that haven't had the love of a pet that don't understand, and they try and tell you things like, well, you can go and get another one, or you can just replace them. It was only a cat, it was only a dog. Why don't you go to the animal shelter and cat sit or dog sit or whatever? And sometimes that will help for some people, but not usually at the very beginning. It's a process and you need to be able to move through it. And one of the first ways that you can help yourself to say goodbye is to have some kind of ritual or memorial, something that acknowledges the life of your pet and all the great times that you had. And it can be something like standing in the garden with your friends and family, maybe holding hands. It doesn't have to be a full-blown funeral. It might be scattering the ashes. If you brought your fur baby home, it might be making something on the fireplace with little photographs, like a little memorial in the house where you can just look at. Lots of people do make albums and scrapbooks, and it's good to tell stories about your pet, even if you're crying when you're doing it and getting upset. But good to talk about the photos. Do you remember when we did this? Do you remember that they used to do that? Don't keep trying to block it out. If you try and block it out, that's never going to work. We know that grief is a response to love. And we also know that whatever you try and resist will persist. So you try and resist looking at those feelings. They're just going to stay there. They're not going anywhere. You have to let yourself grieve. And if you have children, this might be the first experience they've ever had of something or somebody that they love dying. They might not know how to cope. They might be looking to you. And if you share your feelings and talk about how you feel, they'll know that it's all right for them to as well. But if you try and bury everything, they might feel as though they shouldn't say anything in case they upset you. But if you all talk together as a group, it's a much healthier way to process your grief. Whichever way is right for you and your family, just do it. But don't bury your feelings. The first step on the path to feeling a little bit better, start the healing process, is to acknowledge the life of your pet. Acknowledge your feelings, how you feel about what happened. And that's the first step to healing and making yourself feel better. I hope this has helped, and there might be other tips and things that you can use on some of the other videos. See you on another one. Bye.